This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Best Quality Vacuum, a Breaking Bad and Vince Gilliverse podcast.
And this week we're talking about the episode "Cancer Man," pulled from the X-Files. The title is Mulder's dismissive nickname about the cigarette-smoking man,
due to all the cancer that causes.
Well, you know.
This is very explicitly a breather episode.
Oh yeah.
After the intensity of the last episode, this is like a downtime episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could make the argument, this is the weakest episode of the first season.
Yeah.
It's pretty slight, and there's some pretty dumb stuff that happens in it. There's good stuff that happens in it too, but there's some stuff that I think is silly and shitty.
I mean, are you thinking of the bikers?
Yeah, I don't like the bikers. That's too stupid. It's funny, but it's too stupid.
Yes,
for me, it violates my stupidity threshold for the show,
and it's something that the show doesn't engage with after that.
Season 1 weirdness.
Yeah, it's season 1 weirdness, and I'm really happy that they decided to not specifically kind of show meth psychosis from the first person. Like you get the scene with Jesse and the heroin, right, doing the floating, which is a little goofy, but like it's the biker stuff, we'll talk about it, but it is too goofy by half,
and I don't think it's accurate.
No,
I am not. Listen, we've all done our share of methamphetamines. I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of lame wad who hasn't done the scante day in, day out for years at a time.
I can tell by how comfortable you are saying the word scante.
Scante is the word that I use talking about my drug of choice, crystal methamphetamine. I'm not saying that, I've done a little bit. I'm not saying I'm an expert. But you don't just straight up hallucinate like that. I think it would make you paranoid, and you'd be like, oh, those guys are secretly working for the bikers or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't read right.
Yeah. A full on visual hallucination like that. Yeah. It stretches plausibility, knowing what I know about actual hallucinogens.
Yes, from the days that you've done it, because you're not a wad. Because I'm slowly pivoting the show to being a show about how it's cool to do drugs.
I mean, I'm not a doctor, so
yeah, we're none of us are doctors.
Yeah.
The other thing, when you talked about it no longer doing this kind of first person perspective, is when they switch to a second person perspective on this stuff. It's so much more fucking effective to have people acting uncanny and weird around sober people than it is to show things from the perspective of this person hallucinating.
Yeah.
When they show people who are on meth, it's scary and awesome and off-putting in the show. It's a big strength of the show. Mm-hmm. And this scene, even though it's a very small part of the episode, violates that.
Yes. Yeah. And, it is very small, but it is also, I think, it's loud. It's small, but loud.
Yeah. And it's also a thing where everything else is real quiet. It's a quiet episode.
Yes.
Of this. So this is written by Vince Gilligan, directed by Jim McKay, originally aired February 17th, 2008.
Mm-hmm. And it's a breather. It's primarily dealing with the fallout of Walt admitting to Skyler that he has cancer, kind of as being preferable to saying, "Oh, I've been out," trying to decide whether or not to kill a guy who I may have cooked meth for. Yeah.
Well, and also has the benefit of being true.
True.
Had to tell her at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesse, can't return to his normal life. Jesse is still more haunted by this. And we get to see a peek into his family.
Yeah.
Life.
Oh God. His family.
Which is really well observed.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is really good. Mm-hmm. We introduced a Combo and Skinny Pete at this point. Combo, great. Obviously, was not with us very long. Skinny Pete's really interesting because this dude is 50.
Yep.
Or something, but he just plays as young and ravaged by drugs really well.
He does.
I love Skinny Pete's performance.
Skinny Pete is so good, and like Skinny Pete and Badger stay through El Camino.
Yeah.
So like we, kind of get to see a full arc with them. I mean, all of these are people who do bad stuff because of, their choices. Let's say they're on a bad choice road.
Yeah.
But they're
Lowercase b bad choice though. Like in the scale of the show for sure.
Right. Yeah. But they're like good natured and also just kind of like at heart kind of okay, aside from the whole dealing highly addictive amphetamines.
Yeah, highly.
Yeah.
Did you mispronounce fun and cool? I'm not going to keep doing this forever,
right?
But it's just I was watching the show, and one of the things I was thinking about is how in that scene when they first get introduced, we're going to get to as well. But when Combo's like, "Man, I could use something to take the edge off. Let me have some meth." I think this show might not be good at understanding what meth is. Like they learned how to make it, but it's described as like it gives you biker hallucinations, takes the edge off, white hot action knives,
my understanding of amphetamine is I think he might be talking about like you like after you first take it, it's good, and then it's as it tapers off is when it starts getting real edgy and stuff, right? Like there is that sense of calm and flow, like if you take like an Adderall, right?
So the idea is he's maybe jonesing for some more methamphetamine.
He's jonesing and kind of looking for that, few minutes, like the 15 minutes of like really good clarity that he's going to get off of it. And then it gets down to like teeth grinding and bad decisions,
It is a weird thing to describe as not an edge.
It's weird. Personally, if I was looking to take some edge off, maybe an edible,
maybe a nap.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice big meal. I think meth might be the drug that seems the least good to do, even though it's going to suck when we get to the Patreon stretch goal where we try it for the show.
God, no, don't even joke.
How can we know about the show if we don't know what it's like? It just seems like really unpleasant to me.
Mm-hmm.
Very unpleasant as a drug.
Jokes, uppers in general, I've got no interest in. No.
Why would you want to be up? Why would you want energy, you weirdos?
Yeah.
Energy stops you from sleeping.
It's like when Bobby tries to sell Dale some energy supplements. Mm-hmm. He holds up his beer. No, I'm going the other way. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm constantly going the other way.
Well, Dale does both because he also put on a pot of hot Mountain Dew.
boil up some Mountain Dew. It's going to be a long night.
So this begins with Hank giving a presentation to the DEA as colleagues about the disappearances of Crazy 8 and Emilio and the new gang in town. And I think this is what canonically the first time in the show it's revealed that Crazy 8 was the snitch in this.
Yes, it could have been Emilio at the end of the previous episode.
Or a third person who we didn't see, mm-hmm. Here it's and I didn't remember that very specific detail, call me a blunt stone if you want, but it really puts Crazy 8 into a different, I wish I had that in mind when during the basement confrontation, mm-hmm. because this is a duplicitous motherfucker. Like the reasons to kill Crazy 8 keep stacking up. Like I keep talking about how Walt won't say like, hey, you're going to kill me. Also, you're a fucking snitch. I don't know, man. There's a lot of pathos in that scene, but also Crazy 8 was going to die one way or another.
Oh yeah. No, he just and Hank even says like, yeah, we got him, and he is turning on everybody. That's like primarily the way that he moved up.
Yeah,
it was just like, oh, somebody was pushing down on him. Well, just flip, and then you go up.
It's really interesting because there's a big chunk of Crazy 8 missing because he's such a timid little guy mm-hmm. in Better Call Saul. The ambitious Crazy 8 we didn't get.
Yeah, and we don't really see much of him after he makes the deal to be a snitch. With Hank. Yeah. Because it's season 5 and they had other stuff. Things were speeding up at that point.
Yeah. Yep.
Hank and Gomi are arguing about the name of their operation. I find it impossible to believe that they had not used Operation Icebreaker in the past.
It's the main thing they do. I do like the idea of Hank thinking this name is real cool. People are going to think of a big ship. Yeah. And I do like this banter between them. Like, I'm going to be thinking Operation Breathmint. I'm thinking about Operation Breathmint every time I'm in the stakeout with you. It's brutal. So they're Operation TDB, but they're compiling their evidence. Like, this is the beginning of the unraveling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not just a gang hit. You know, that's what they think it's going to, or they would just call it a gang hit, but the meth is the purest the lab has ever seen. They don't think it was made in a super lab. They think it was made right there. They have the gas mask, which has the same meth, so it's connected. They got people in the FBI, like Quantico people, doing that analysis. You know, this is new. There's a new game in town.
Yes,
basically.
I'm thinking Albuquerque might have a new kingpin as it cuts back and forth, you know, to Walt shirtless in his underwear, brushing his teeth and spitting. So
yes, yeah, little comedy beat. Walt is staring at burning steak or burning chicken on a grill here. It looks like steak because it's so burned. But the, you know, thinking about bodies and stuff, where Hank comes over and, you know, hey, you're burning it, get some more chicken. They're sitting down to have a barbecue. This is a family scene.
I love this back and forth with Marie and Hank, where it's like, oh, Hank, do you want another beer? He says, does a Pope shit in his hat? And Marie says, I think we would all appreciate if you stop saying that. It's it reminds me of Baby of the Year, where it's like if Tiny Deaky Daff, you know, if Taffy Lee Fubbins doesn't win, I will kill myself on TV. I'm like, will you stop saying that? Like, it's really good. Oh God.
You know, but they're having a nice time. Like, Walt goes inside to get a soda for Walt Jr., you know, because he holds the RC against his face. He's having a rough one.
Yeah.
You
also, know? I love them having RC Cola.
Yeah, they can't afford the real stuff.
Affording Royal Crown soda.
The literally the worst tasting thing you can put in your mouth.
Oh, it's terrible. It tastes like the Pepsi of the Eastern Bloc.
I wouldn't feed it to a teenage dog. Like, it's not. It's just not fit for human consumption.
Yeah. He goes back out, and it's a real sweet moment. Hank is talking up Walt Jr.'s appearance, you know, saying like, oh, you're a handsome guy, and just trying to make him more confident. And, you know, saying like, oh, you just got to be assertive. And basically reveals he just stalked Marie until she relented.
I mean, like, Marie is obviously comfortable and joking with it, though.
Yes.
Like, he just says he was persistent. Marie's like, yeah, they've changed the stalking laws. Like, this is their rapport.
Yes.
You know, I don't think he literally stalked Marie. He's like, hey, you know, how'd your parents meet? Like, that's a good story. There, Walt Jr. starts telling it, and I love Walt taking over. Like, this is a very sweet moment.
Oh yeah.
I think of him doing, you know, like romantic comedy caliber deceptions.
Yes.
Like, it's I've seen like think piece things in the grand scheme of Breaking Bad. You know, one of my, like, you know, lines I'm drawing in the sand is trying to push back against the, like, Walt was the scumbag at the end of the show that he is in the beginning of the show, the same scumbag he was at the end of the show.
A thing that I know about drama is that the characters are fixed and they are never changed by the events that happen.
Yeah. And you get a lot of good boy points if you can figure out the ways they didn't. But like, people have brought up this idea of like, oh man, this is really toxic behavior on Walt's part. You know, it began with a lie and stuff. And I don't know. This scene just reads as sweet to me. Skyler thought it was sweet. They clearly loved each other. They have a kid. You know, I don't know. It's really hard for me to read like this is classic Walt toxicity into this exchange.
No, like he was looking for a way to start a conversation. So he was trying to do crossword puzzles.
We didn't have OkCupid then. You couldn't just message somebody. You had to talk to them in real life. It sucked.
And also, Walt was a dope. It was the late 80s. Like, they're you know, like he probably was romantic comedy brain poisons. He was a
nerd. He was riding his bike to get a grilled cheese sandwich from the lab. Like, what a fucking nerd. You know, so she was a hostess and a cashier, and she would secretly do crossword puzzles to slack off at work. So he started doing crossword puzzles to use as an icebreaker.
Yes.
And he's like, when he looks over again, really great performance. Like he's so fucking in love with her. Like it's a very sweet scene, I think.
Yeah. And Skyler is there very quietly, like her face is wrenching. She's crying because she knows something that everybody else doesn't. I'm gonna say this, and I know that this is loaded if you say it about a lady actress. Anna Gunn is really good at doing a cry. Like her specific, just like the way she conveys that agony. Like a bad fake cry is just the worst thing in the world. It'll strip paint off the walls. But like, her, where it is just kind of sold as this just like fixed distress in the face. It pops up a few times here, or just like the mouth wide open. It's not sobbing. It's not like a thing that's in motion. It's used to great effect throughout the entire series, but here specifically, it's just like, oh my god, this is just a knife in the heart and twisting.
I love her performance through this whole episode, and I love how she changes, how she goes from this hopelessness to hope, and seeing her like, grasp onto stuff.
Yes.
And like the, if you want to point to shitty things that Walt did, it's not him pretending to like crossword puzzles. It's him seeing that and not seeing the forest for the trees, not nurturing that like hope that she very clearly needs, and kind of shooting all that shit down due to pride. So she starts crying, and Marie's like, what's wrong? Skyler says, ask him. And Marie and Hank are both pissed at this point. Again, really nice note. Like they're like, oh, is this something bad that Walt did? And then Walt fesses up, and Walt Jr. didn't know at this point.
Nope.
Either. So, he's got lung cancer, and it's real bad. Like it's not, it's not the cool kind of lung cancer. That's just real chill. It's not the outpatient kind.
It doesn't give you powers.
Yeah, it doesn't allow you to get ice breath or like any number of Superman skills.
A thing that I learned from a meme. Did you see the like that thing that was going around, like the page, like a record of deaths in Victorian England?
Yes,
in 1 week. I was reading through those because that's fascinating, right? But I saw one. One of the causes that a bunch of people had was called Rising of the Lights. Were you aware of what Rising of the Lights is?
No.
It's a lung condition. It was basically like pneumonia. People used to call the lungs the lights.
Oh,
yeah,
idiots! You dum dums. I don't blame them for not knowing the word lungs, but lights already mean something.
It does.
It's got nothing to do with breath, you stupids.
Yeah. It's like calling tuberculosis consumption. Like, what are you consuming, dudes?
I guess that's consuming your body.
Maybe
that makes more sense than the lights, though. The lights makes no sense.
I just thought that was weird. I was like, I learned something, huh?
Yeah, but it just you learned how bad people used to be.
Oh yeah, no, language is a fucking mess. England, get your shit.
Fucking dopes. If lung cancer did give you superpowers, you'd have to get some of the nation's best sponcologists. Spunkologist. I was trying to come up with a good metastasis malbolgia thing too, and it was very difficult. But
okay, yeah.
like the sponcologist team or the sponcology team.
I feel like you put yourself on hard mode by going for Spawn on that.
I know, but imagine like 6 spawns all with different like surgical masks, like some of them holding clipboards, and they're all working to give your cancer superpowers. I don't know. Like the Spawn surgery team's kind of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Like I don't know. Yeah.
Oh man.
So Junior's in his room. He's listening. This is really well observed. He just has headphones on, listening to music really loud. That's a teenage thing to do to escape.
Of course.
Skyler, the rest of the family's in the living room, and Skyler is kind of exasperated with Walt. Like trying to say like, hey, I'm not alone in this. It's insane that you didn't tell me about this before. Explain yourself.
Right.
Like, how did this happen?
And she's looking for her own explanation because Hank expresses his bafflement. Like, how can somebody you don't smoke? Like, he's a big old nerd, right? How could you get this? And Skyler, this also is real. real well observed, is looking, looking for something to blame. She's saying like, oh, it has to be that lab at Los Alamos. You mentioned one, you talked at one point about like them not having good enough chemical hoods, things
Yeah.
like that. That has to be what it is. And she starts kind of working herself up and says, we're going to hire a lawyer, like trying to turn this into a fight. Right.
Yeah. She wants, it's easier to be against something.
Yeah. To externalize it. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to have an enemy. Marie's like, no, what is the next step? Like, she's a radiologist. She's going to get, assemble this oncology dream team.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get a second opinion. They're talking about these things, and you can see, Hank is not, or Walt's not down for this. We're going to talk about why, and that's going to kind of play out through this.
Yeah.
Really great moment. Skyler goes to get Walt Jr. to see if he'll come participate, and Hank says, and from a place of love, like Hank isn't power moving Walt or anything, saying like, whatever happens, like I'll take care of your family. Yeah. Trying to sing the exact opposite of the right thing to say, while trying to be supportive and loving in his own shitty way.
Yeah. Just it's his way of saying, don't worry about that. Just worry about getting through it. Worry about the fight. Right.
Yeah. And that this episode's going to be his family telling him that over and over and over, and him, not relenting to that.
Yeah.
Even though it's correct. It's the thing, like, this is, weirdly, like this episode does reveal a lot of Walt's crapulence, but I don't think it's in relationship stuff or anything like that. I think it's just his, caring about his family in an entirely doesn't see the forest for the trees kind of way.
And I mean, also the fact that like the most like wounded or distraught he looks up to this point is when Hank makes that offer, saying like, don't worry, I will take care of your family. Right. Yeah. Just like that is not what he wants. That is, it's a it is a secret dark part of Walt. Yeah.
It's a really common, like, it's surprising how in every once in a while, and I'm not 100% immune to this either, but like even people who I consider to be smart and with it and progressive will have really gross masculinity, like kind of roles bubble up.
Yep.
These ideas, and Walt is fully, a man provides biblical times pilled.
Yeah.
As a thing. Whereas like a lot of that stuff is pretty outmoded. We don't, this is pretty fake. You don't have to believe in it.
Not to be a caricature of my own political beliefs, but like, hey, Walt, that's why you're part of a community, dude.
Yeah.
Like the government's not going to be there to take care of you. This is a whole story about, that would be obviated by any kind of actual like healthcare in America. But like, no, you have people around you. That is why you have loved ones. Well, so you can all lean on each other.
Like, it's weird too, thinking about universal healthcare Breaking Bad, because Walt won't accept help from other people. If the government just paid for it and healthcare was free, I bet you he would not feel like that was encroaching on his pride.
Right.
It's like these arbitrary lines we like to draw about what our responsibilities are. Again, even in like principled stances that do tons of damage.
Yes.
That serve no one. Like if this show didn't turn into a drama about cooking meth, right? Like no meth was ever cooked again in the show, and Hank's investigation fizzled. This would be a show about somebody who did irreparable harm to his family, trying to do the opposite.
Yes.
Even before all of the meth and the more obvious irreparable harm comes. Him just being like, no, it's the principle of the matter. A man provides for his family is just the worst fucking thing he can do to his family. And he's such a short-sighted, like, gross dude to not realize that. Like,
Well, I mean, and like also speaking of things like crappy stuff being revealed, like something that comes out when Skyler is talking about like, oh, how we're going to pay for this is like, I could go back to work. And like, that's the thing that he hits on for like, no, you're absolutely not going to do that.
And borrowing money from his mom,
right.
Borrowing money from Hank. Like it's it's all help. Yeah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Like it's principled in the face of nothing. There's no governing body, Walt. You don't have to like do things that are arbitrary and don't make sense to get some kind of imaginary win.
Yeah.
Like a person's got to have a code, but a code has to have a reason.
Yeah.
If your code has no reason, you're being an idiot.
Yeah. If you are not trying to live up to any real expectations around you, if it does no good. Yeah.
Yeah. Decide if your codes are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut back over to Jesse. Combo is what our first introduction to Combo. Looking up at the big hole in the ceiling there.
Jesse tries to say the house is settling.
The settling. No, actually it's settling. Hit me in the eye. I love a house settling like fuck you. Like it's like a house settling an argument.
Yeah.
Like a house settling a bar bet. I bet you I can kill my owners. Like
oh my god. And they're having their conversation, their level of conversation. Jesse's trying to impress them with his fake Canadian Pop-Tarts.
The performance here, like Aaron Paul's performance during this episode is great.
Mm-hmm.
His trying to play the part of what he should be doing here, but being unable to.
Yes.
Because he's a kid. He's talking about these Pop-Tarts. They're talking about Crazy 8 and Emilio, and he's so fucking nervous the whole time. Like this is before anything comes out.
His eyes are darting. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, they have a bowl, and this is where, Combo brings it up. Like Jesse doesn't volunteer and say like, hey, I've got new meth. Combo's like, hey, do you ever still cook? He's like, maybe sometimes cook a little bit. And then you can see it in his eyes. He sees it as a path to get back to socializing.
Yes.
Like he wants to be part of an in-group and socialize. He can't talk to anybody about this. This is going to come up later. Yeah. So he's like, no, actually I cooked really good stuff. Like he's desperate for anything to talk to these people about.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking broken because a dude dissolved in his bathtub and died in his basement.
And then he had to clean it up by hand.
Yeah, he's fucked. Like he's a kid. Yes. This is the episode that is like Jesse is baby. Very much so.
Yeah. But he goes a little bit too far in this direction because he talks about this amazing meth that he cooked, and his friends want to do it. It's like, if you cooked it and it's still around, let's go. And so he pumps the brake, and this feels real. He says, no, I'm taking a break from smoking, just because I've been real paranoid. I need to not because of health reasons. And they say, oh, well, if you're just like, you don't need to do like a whole little skit here. If you don't want to share, you don't have to share.
Yeah. But we're going to bounce. Yeah. Like this transactional way that friendships work a lot of times with dealers and stuff. Like this is even though I've, not a drugman, I had friends who I hung out with friends and their dealers.
There's a lot of stops at dealers.
Yeah, it sucks. Yep. It's the worst. They're really socially awkward people, like a Jesse, and the friendships are entirely transactional. It's sad.
Yeah.
So again, desperate to like be a person and exist and be seen, and socialize. He backpedals. He's like, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Are you kidding? I was joking. What a good joke. I'm getting paranoid. Here, let's do some scante.
Paranoia on methamphetamine?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Scott.
So cuts to the next day, and Jesse is huddled up at the window. House is a wreck. And he's looking out, just completely kind of rear windowing it, and he starts panicking when he sees two big guys on motorcycles pull up and walk toward him. One brandishing a huge machete and the other priming a grenade.
Him tossing it up and down like he's like having fun with it, and it is funny. Yes. Like that's funny. Like it's so over the top. He's got a grenade, what's he gonna do with that? It's funny. I like it as a weird little nod to the biker meth community.
Yes.
Like that's something that exists at the periphery of both these series, which I really like. It just reads as silly as hell when he hides, runs out the back door, and it turns out they're missionaries on bicycles, and they move in sync because it's cute and kind of Wes Anderson-y.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny? They're missionaries. Like I actually, I hate the scene and wish it wasn't in the show, but they're trying to do some comedy because the last episode was really heavy.
Yes. Yeah. Cut over to Walt. He is in his bathroom, treating his wound. You can't go in and say like, oh, this very strangely shaped wound. It's from a plate. Well, how did a plate get stabbed into your leg multiple times?
The plate was just settling. Yeah. Like,
Settled right into my calf muscle.
yeah,
It's crazy.
he's using Crazy 8 glue, ironic, to
Oh.
the wiki, to shut the wound. And has this coughing jag because he realized the blood soaked through to his leg.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to clean that off with his toothbrush. Weird. And Skyler, knocks. She's really concerned about him because her husband, who she loves, has cancer.
Yes. And for him, this is, a sign like, oh, yes, the noose is tightened. There is no privacy now. I've got this wife who cares about my well-being.
Yeah. Because again, he's putting this idea of this money like way too hard. Like, this is Skyler's so right during all of this. Like, he overhears her make an appointment, for this initial meeting, you can put the charge on the credit card. And it's just one of the best oncologists in the country, not just in the state. Well, it's like, what's going on the credit card? And $5,000, that's just the deposit. Like, that's just up front. It might not even do anything.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she's very rightly being like, we don't need to worry about the money. Like, this is stupid. This is your life. You are worth infinite money. Like, I love you. You're my person. But he can't not get his head out of that. She says like, oh, what if we borrow money from Hank? And just immediately, absolutely not. Like, we're not doing that. Yeah. What about your mom? Oh, you haven't even told her. Like, you have to tell her. I'll do it for you if you need me to. But like, man, you gotta like take this seriously. And what I love about this characterization wise, and this is going to be a running thing for Walt, is in his mind, his narrative now is that of sacrifice.
Yes.
Like, I believe, Walt does not want to do any more cooking at this point. He just wants to not be a burden to his family. He's done something he can't live with. And it dovetails pretty well with the fact that he's not going to live.
Yes.
And there is when he talks about this $5,000 deposit later, when he talks about the total bill and how it might not even work, Walt is very, very terrified of it was all for nothing. Like, it is a weird, like, for somebody who takes so many risks, it's a weird risk averseness. Like, I don't want to gamble. It can't have been for nothing.
Yes.
Which is the Walt mantra for the entire series.
Right. Yeah. It's part of that sacrifice too is, we have all that talk about him, a man provides, a man needs to, be there for his family, but not actually be around, you know? Like, and this is part of what, part of what Walt Jr.'s whole reasonable point is, which is like, oh, so you're just going to check out, and it kind of doesn't matter that I could have more years with you as my dad as I get established in the world, huh? And so Walt's whole idea of providing is not really involved. None of it actually comes down to him being around and doing stuff for the family. He only starts
purely
doing
economic.
That. He only starts doing that when he is like crazy on the outs and starts doing home improvement shit.
Yeah, well, he's faced with losing it.
Yes.
He's quite literally taking them for granted because he's arrogant, because pride is his thing. He's going and he says he'll take care of the deposit because he'll borrow against his pension. He still has a nest egg of the money they got from the dealers. So he goes to go get it from the vent. The vent kicks on, and he's kind of caught in this situation when Junior walks in. He has to make up a lie, and he's like, oh, I thought I heard mice. That's the last thing we need right now. This is a tangent, but the other day I was at a bookstore, and I found the old book that I had that was the guide to Star Trek Next Generation episodes.
Okay.
So it's like episode by episode talking to him, but they have a very funny authorial voice. And it's like, as if Picard didn't have enough to worry about, Q has shown up, and they're all written like that.
It's this guy again.
Like, he's got to get the moon of Rigel 4 from collapsing into itself, but also Q's there. What a predicament. And that's how Walt says this. Like, the last thing we need, mice. And like, Walt Jr. is a sharp cookie. He's like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like,
why are you acting so weird? You're acting like nothing is going on.
Yeah.
And Walt doesn't answer. He's just he's caught speechless in a way that he won't be later on, and so he just kind of goes. He's not going to lie to his son yet.
Yeah. We get he notices that the notices Tampico furniture on the bassinet crib kind of thing. So done. We catch him. He's driving down the highway. A police cruiser passes him. He thinks he's going to get pulled over with his $5,000 in cash.
Yeah.
That he has with him. Just a little paranoia thing. And then we get another, again, like kind of broad comedy setup for this. I like it a little bit better because it doesn't involve hallucinating grenades. But it's also a little silly.
It's kind of silly, and also I don't know. We had a little bit of disagreement over like whether or not this was an okay thing for him to do.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think it's basically fine to do anything you want to, Ken. And that one kid from the first episode in his class.
Yes,
he's probably Ken's son, legitimately or ill.
But he's pulling into the parking lot at the bank, and this asshole in a BMW cuts him off.
A weird caricature, like a villain from a John Hughes movie. Like this guy is real loud.
Yeah, he's on his way to make a deposit so he can buy the community center.
Yeah, he's gonna go destroy Empire Records, and Walt has to stop him. Like, it's so broad. I know that they're assholes. Like, I know they're shitheads. It's so fucking broad.
Yeah.
He steals his parking spot. He's talking loudly into a Bluetooth. Which in the late 2000s, like that was also just a sign of being a douche. Talking about bragging about how he made a partner just for going in the door, talking shit about a woman teller and a person that they know on the phone.
I don't get the thing that
he's
I don't get the thing that he said, because like this other person comes up and says, oh, she's a hog, and he says, cover her in flour and roll her around and see where the wet spot is.
Yeah,
what the fuck is he talking about?
He's talking about fucking baked good. I don't know what he's talking about. He's talking about Coraline 2, where they make people out of dough. I got nothing. When he's on the phone, he sees the teller, says something about the teller, and then the person on the phone thinks he's talking about somebody they know.
Oh yeah.
So that part makes sense.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't understand what that roller and flour and check for the wet spot means.
Okay, I wanted to see if maybe you had something I didn't.
No, I got no idea what that means. He's talking about all the money he's got, and this is obviously the last thing Walt needs because he's sad about money. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Walt deposits. He's very polite to the teller.
Yes. Yeah. And we cut over to something that is without context, just a very bougie family. Just these two waspy parents talking to their little business child.
Again, also though, pretty broad.
Pretty broad.
Like, he's making you choose between the piccolo and the oboe. You're a monster at that oboe. It's Breaking Bad comedy mode. Weird first season. Breaking Bad comedy mode still.
Yeah. Just our son especially shouldn't have to focus. He's good enough at both.
Yeah.
And just talking about orchestra and soccer and all of his extracurriculars, and they hear some noise in the backyard. And it's Jesse, and he's out there tangled up in lawn furniture because he hopped the fence.
Yeah. Little cinemas in here. They have that lawn furniture with those plastic rubber strips.
Yeah, a wealthy family like this would not have that lawn
not
furniture.
In a million years.
Nope.
That is the trashiest chair one can sit on. And I say that as somebody sat on that chair many a time, but that's not new lawn furniture.
That is almost exactly equivalent to like the injection molded white lawn chair.
I would say worse in terms of like optics.
Yeah.
Like that. And it's not like a worse sit. But in terms of like the semiotics of poor people,
oh yes,
I think that it's more associated. And this being here, this new lawn furniture has ruined his plan to sneak in. He fell on it and stuff.
Yeah. Because this is his family. This is his mom, his dad, and his younger brother Jake. Jesse comes from means.
Yeah, and he's retreating, not to means. Because he's actually, his parents think at this point he's just in it for money and stuff. He's doing okay for money. He's doing it because he can't, like, he's literally regressing. He can't be a person in the world after what has happened to him.
Yes.
He can't relate to his friends. He can't like live in his house. It's very sad.
Yeah.
What he's doing here. Like a lot of the strokes I think are too broad, but in the skeleton of it's very sad.
Oh yeah.
you know?
Just like, and this is the place where he comes for comfort. Like, I mean, a place that we know he was ejected from because of his
Yeah.
behavior, right? Just like, and we're gonna see, this is an incredibly cold environment.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yep. He sleeps in his childhood bed while his parents are talking about what to do with him, and they're like, "Oh, we should check his arms for needle marks." Like, you get that. We know they've been through this before.
Yes.
He comes downstairs, asks where dinner is, or when dinner is. Very different thing. He's like, "Where's dinner?" Jesse's back, Mom.
Yeah. He just comes in making yummy noises, like
with a fork and knife in each hand, and a bib, or like shooting 2 6-shooters in the air. But they say when dinner is, and because he is a good boy, he goes to go set the table. And then they talk about what they're going to do with him, not realizing he's within earshot.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a brief cutaway to Walt. It's after school, and Junior's waiting for him in the classroom, kind of making a little bit more of a, making an attempt to connect. He thought that Junior was going to take the bus instead of riding home with his dad. Junior wants to ride home with him.
Yeah. Yep. And Walt tries to kind of reconcile with what he said, with what Walt Jr. said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much easier when he starts calling himself Flynn.
Yeah.
But he says, he's like, things just have a way of working themselves out. Like, this is why I'm acting weird. He's trying to protect, the same way he's trying to protect Skyler from all that debt. He's trying to protect Walt Jr. from thinking about it or worrying about it or even changing it all, and in a way that is powerfully patronizing and does not see him as a person. Yes. It does not give him credit for the agency he has.
To be able to adapt and grow through this, and maybe doesn't want the relationship to change, really.
Yeah, he doesn't want anything to change. Like, that's the whole point. So Jesse is bonding with his younger brother. He's admiring Jake's trophies. In this, like, I love, environmentalism. You get this for recycling cans.
And Jake says, "No, I was curious about the dyes being used down at the printing mill, so I called them, and they wrote about it in the paper." He says, "Making mad inroads in the business
community." It's real sweet. I like. He's trying. Jesse and Jake are funny.
He's trying so hard.
Yeah,
and his little brother, just icing him out for a reason that we're going to see here in just a little bit. But this inversion of maturity between them. Yeah,
I am very refreshed by seeing a TV show treat a kid who's in Jake's position not sympathetically.
Yes.
Like, I was expecting this with the reveal, no reason to talk around it. We're going to talk about it in a couple minutes, of him smoking pot. I thought it was going to be like, oh, he has to do this to cope, with all the pressure he's under. Like, it's going to be, we should have so much sympathy for him. He's kind of a little shit. And we should not have sympathy for him.
Yeah.
It doesn't usually happen this way.
He's doing this, and he is skating by as the golden boy, despite the fact that at his age he's pretty much exactly on Jesse's path, at least at the as regards do probably smoking pot at age 12 or whatever, right?
Yeah. And Jesse wants to be a mentor. Figure for again, he's desperately trying to find some kind of role. Remember, not all learning comes out of books. You and I should just kick back and chill and hang out more. If you ever need advice, I've been through it all. Again, not only does he want to have this role, he's also, this is the beginning of him like needing to talk to somebody about, needing to debrief.
Yeah. So Jesse finds Jake's piccolo and gets real excited. Like, oh, you play this. Hey, play me some Jethro Tull. And, more hovering happening. Their mom has been hovering outside the door, and this is when she decides to come in and say, hey.
She's got to stop him from playing Jethro Tull. It's like no bungle in the jungle in our house.
Oh, God. And so they send her away like, yeah, no, everything's okay. And Jesse points out like, hey, isn't that bullshit? What our mom's doing, right? Just coming in here to protect her favorite son, kind of a shitty thing to say, but also,
But he's been being microaggressed.
Yes.
The entire time this is going on. And Jake says, I'm their favorite. Yeah, right. You're practically all they ever talk about.
Yeah.
Later Jesse can't sleep, so he goes through his chest with all of his old drawings. He did a little bit of this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I like this a lot. I like it as a Jesse being, talented,
Mm-hmm.
or having some innate talent. Like none of this is great art or anything like that, but it's not like he's not a person with value.
Right.
He's not a total shit or anything like that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He's mostly doing like what's the like the basic tattoo stuff that you see up on the wall.
Flash.
Like, he's basically doing Flash, right? He's got what is basically cartoons.
But he does an actionable cartoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's made up his own version of cartoons. Finally.
Well, it's like carcinization, right? Like everything will eventually evolve into a crab. Most people who pick up a pen will eventually make a cartoon.
Everybody gets a cartoon. Yeah. He draws like a topless elf lady on a horse, like he gets this boob drawing phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see him react before we see the drawing. He's just like, this is great. He's just laughing because he finds a picture he drew in school, why Mr. White loves chemistry. And it's a picture of Mr. White with a beaker up his ass.
Like bending over with it, like a big old grin on his face.
Yeah, like just like, hey, I stuck a beaker up my ass. What are you gonna do about it? Which is a great question. Like if somebody ever asked me that, I don't know what I would do about it. I guess like get 9 and 1, and then the second they clench, I'll dial 1 again.
Time seems to be a factor.
Yeah, glass is not. This is not very sex safe, Jesse. Yeah, you can have a glass sex toy, but they're solid and they're built. They're tempered.
Yeah, that's the thing. The second you get something with a void in there, you got problems. You got yourself a negative void differential.
Negative void coefficient.
Yep.
This tube up your ass.
That temperature drops, you're in for a world of shit. Nothing but red cards, man.
Just imagining Jared Harris coming out with that board, that display board, explaining why you shouldn't shove a test tube up your ass. Like, here are the nerve endings in the asshole. This creates pleasure, which rises.
And you can see an imbalance.
Here's the risk of the glass that tempers the pleasure. However,
as we see, the heat conductivity rises, making the glass more brittle. The balance has been upset, and a cascade of disaster. We are on a path that we cannot back off from.
When it works, it is beautiful. How come that never got a meme format? That scene, because it's so good for just explaining anything. Like,
it's masterful.
You're really, really good at that.
I think it's a little bit too wordy to be a meme thing. The Chernobyl meme, pretty much like it was a cultural moment, but everybody just did like, oh, like look at something and then their face is red.
What instead of doing that instead of a meme, it could have been the when people do the Hitler. Dubs, Hitler dubbed over. Christ, I hope nobody jizzes in World War II. But when they do Hitler dubbed over, you know what I'm talking about from that movie.
Yeah, Downfall. Yeah,
Downfall. They should do that with this.
Mm-hmm.
They
to the meme community.
Yeah. But this kind of takes a moment when he flips it over and he sees this was the back of a failed test that Mr. White had graded, and he just big F, red letters, ridiculous, apply yourself.
Yeah.
Hasn't got anything. And this is what the little domino, the little thing that makes him decide, like I'm going to apply myself. I'm going to do the thing I'm good at.
Yep.
Here, because Combo Call says he's got some friends in town who would buy anything he's got.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, this is me applying myself.
Mm-hmm. So he shows up. Walt is searching for the loose cash in the vents. And the doorbell rings. It is Jesse who, and Walt like grabs him off the front stoop and pulls him,
manhandles him. Yeah, like tosses him out. And he's like, I waited for your wife to leave. And Walt thinks, he's like, oh, did you talk to somebody? Are you wearing a wire? And like, just like a wire. Like, just absolutely like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And so Jesse is okay. We're out of the yelling phase of this for right now. And Walt asks, so why are you here? And he says he doesn't quite know what to say.
Yeah.
because this is it's not one of the standard situations that you find yourself in. But he's like, I'm here to touch base, to debrief. And he says, like, we can't really talk with anybody else about this. So, like,
it's really vulnerable.
yeah,
He's like, I don't know. He doesn't know the words for what he wants. And what he
Yeah.
wants is to talk to somebody who can relate to him as
Mhm.
those situations, but he doesn't know how to say it. Like the masculinity theme of the show is really strong and this episode is really strong. And obviously it primarily affects Walt, but here it is applying to Jesse.
Yes.
Jesse does not have the vocabulary to just express a vulnerability and a need.
Mhm.
That he has.
And as Jesse tries words, Walt is, in full on, just talking to Walt, like, can you climb down from, can you climb out of my
Yeah.
ass? Like full on that mode, like you want to
performance.
debrief,
Yeah.
just being an utter bastard to him, just trying to undercut, not seeing the need, just trying to I don't know what his purpose here is other than to try and cut Jesse down for even deigning to come to his house.
Well, yeah, he wants him to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And there are non-evil or shitty reasons for that, where it's like, oh, this is reminding him of something that like he's better at forgetting than Jesse is. He's putting his head in the sand and operating as if none of that stuff happened.
Yeah. He's got the cancer, and the non-glib answer is, oh, he's got a family around that he is talking to. Jesse has nothing. Very little.
Yeah. And it's impossible for him to sympathize at this point.
Yes.
Like in a way, I believe over the course of the series, Walt like does grow to love Jesse. Like that is the word I would use. He's shitty to him.
Yes.
Undeniably shitty, ruins his life. But there's a kind of love there. This is before that.
Yes.
Jesse also says like, hey, everyone likes that meth that we cooked. If you ever want to do more, I know we can sell it. And Walt, this is a bridge too far. Walt says, get off my property now. And Jesse goes, you know what? Actually, I was here to give you your share of the money. I didn't smoke at all. And he just throws the money up in the air. And then the one comedy beat in this episode that really, really works for me is Walt just going and getting the pool skimmer.
after Jesse leaves, just like, okay.
Yeah, still going to take that money. That's very funny to me.
Oh yeah, it's very good. I love that cut. Just him grabbing it.
It's really good.
Yeah. So commercial break here, and then Skyler and Walt are talking to their oncologist, who'll be around for a season or two. He gives kind of the second opinion that they're seeking out. It's stage 3A. It's gotten to the lymph nodes, and Skyler asked the question, which is reasonable to ask, like, so is it curable? And he gives the reasonable answer, I prefer treatable, but the prognosis could be good. There might be a path here.
Yeah. Walt asks about side effects, and he just starts listing this incredible long. He's like, side effects could be next to nothing, or they could be pretty severe, and then talks for like 5 minutes, just like every possible bad thing that could happen to a person.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
Could be sexual side effects.
Yeah, I love sexual side effect is just that no question. Is it better? Is it worse? Like, does it go through time? Can I do it through walls now? Like, there's no like this sponcologist was going to give me sexual powers. But yeah, he's just going through, and this Walt fades out. Like this high pitched whine comes up as he's hearing the side effects. He's not really paying attention.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, going back to masculinity and trying to be there, just he is hearing a future that rests before him where he is debilitated, where he's a dependent. He sees himself as becoming an invalid because of this. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No good for him. We cut over to the Pinkman's house where the housekeeper is dusting in Jesse's room and finds a joint stuck in a house plant.
This is a comically big joint.
It's huge, man. It's like a joint for sharing. Jesse's the housekeeper, also a narc, so I'm looking forward to her being dissolved in acid. Jesse's parents confront him about it, and Jesse's like, I don't know anything about it, and they've heard this before.
Yes,
and it's a real boy who cried wolf kind of thing. Like all the other times he was lying, this time it is not his. Yeah. But he also knows something. Like he knows what's up.
Yeah, just like, okay, well, here we go. This can be of use for a moment. I will play my role in this. This is my role here. Actually,
Yeah.
it couldn't be any of these other things. Couldn't be the kid, the loving son who sets the table. Couldn't be the experienced mentor. But I can be, the scapegoat. Yeah, the heat sick. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesse's dad tells him he needs to leave. Jesse grabs the joint and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
As he's waiting for a cab, Jake comes out and is like, "Hey, thanks for not telling on me." The big reveal that it was Jake's joint.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you'd expect there to be like, "Oh, they put so much pressure on me. I have to smoke pot to play the oboe and the piccolo at the same time." None of that. Instead, we get him asking for it back, and Jesse's stepping on me like, "That's skunk weed."
Uh-huh.
Like Jesse kind of flips him off and leaves because he also is not on Jesse's side.
No, just
fuck this kid.
It's like, okay, well, that went the way it went. You're out on the curb, but also can I have that back? And this is Jesse being kind of a mentor in the way, oh, you overpaid for that. Like, that's fucking garbage. Just there you go.
This is the kind of wisdom I could share with you if you weren't such a little prick.
Yeah.
His family goes away until a brilliant episode with Saul where there's a good revenge scene on these guys.
Oh yeah, love it.
So we cut back to the White House where President Obama has just taken office. It's February 2008.
The primary was still going. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. But you're right. 2008. I was thinking of
that's a comment. Yeah. You don't need to feel bad. I do that all the time.
Cool.
Gary, don't beat yourself up about it, okay? Don't.
I won't. I won't. I won't.
Gary, I'm worried that you're being too hard on yourself about this.
Can I tell you why I said cool and laughed there? It was me being mean. So this is me copying to something. It was when you said you do that all the time. My instinct wasn't, and this says more about me than you, wasn't that you make the mistake I made, was that you point that mistake out to everybody. All the time, which was not kind to me, and I apologize for it sincerely. That was me being shitty, and I'm sorry.
No, reflexes.
I didn't have real feelings about anything. I wasn't like mad or upset or think less of you about it. It just was like my instinct.
Oh, you just took it literally about the immediate thing.
Yes, I just took it literally, and if I had thought about it, I would have given you more benefit of the doubt, and I apologize.
No hard feelings, bud. I appreciate the apology, but it's okay.
No. So they're hanging out. Walt's watching an old sci-fi movie, staring at a black and white sci-fi movie that's more boring than anything. Yep. And Walt Jr., like a regular person, is just sitting down watching a 50s sci-fi movie. Like, let us watch anything that's in the public domain. It's pretty weird. Yeah. Skyler is reading these pamphlets and says it's very hopeful. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, Walt's not really listening. Can I call them and tell them we'll start next week? And Walt's like, I just think we should discuss it more. Walt's really concerned about the money, basically because he's, we could end up spending all this money and it'll be for nothing. Like all I will leave for you is a corpse and some debt.
Yes.
That it cannot be all for nothing.
Right. I will leave you with a worse life, for me having, had cells that divide. It's too much, and this is this is too much. He says, I just don't want emotions ruling us. Maybe treatment isn't the way to go. And Junior gets up and says something very reasonable, which is that why don't you just fucking die already?
Yeah. It speaks to the many unkindnesses that Walt's doing. One of them would be putting his family in this liminal state with no hope.
Yes.
Just waiting it out. Like Walt can resign himself to that, but it's a really tall ask to just ask everyone else, like, hey, I'm going to be around for a question mark amount of time. Like, what do they do? Right. How do you live like that? Like it's again, very, very shitty. Yeah. And Skyler is just, shocked and like hurt by this, just absolutely shaken. Mm-hmm. Just like her face at hearing him say this, like hearing her son say something this harsh. Mm-hmm. Be pushed to this point is just, absolutely intense.
It's too much. Yeah. And it's just, man, very rough. And so Walt is out driving, he had to get away from this. And he has a coughing fit. and has to pull over into this gas station parking lot because it's so so rough. And then he looks down in his hand, and we get the classic, cancer symptom, coughing up blood.
Yeah, a classic.
Mm-hmm.
He sees Ken wins out in the gas station, honks his horn at an old lady. Get your ass out of the road. And when Ken goes inside, Walt says, no way, Ken's got to go. Takes the windshield scrubber on his battery contacts and blows up his car at the gas station.
Then pulls away.
And then walks away.
Oh, yes.
Slowly away from the explosion. While Ken freaks out.
I love what the episode ends on is like the attendants out there, because there's this big fire burning near the pumps. But Ken just like looks at the guy and says, why is it doing that?
I know. I like that a lot. And I personally think Ken deserves this. Ken's got to go. Some people got to go. And if they can't go, their car's got to go.
I'm not sad that it happens, that it happens to Ken,
you just don't want the gas station to blow up.
I don't want the gas. It is very reckless to me. There is the possibility for more innocent people to be hurt. Is part of that here. This feels very petulant.
It's very petulant.
It's very petulant, very very petty, and it's kind of like when he stomps on that kid's knee. Like you can feel justified that this is happening to a Ken.
Yes.
And like I understand, like we're still supposed to be on Walt's side right now, even though they're like this is something that he is doing purely out of malice, right?
Yeah.
And like the moral calculus is hard because like I don't care if somebody does a good thing for the wrong reason, because the good thing was still done, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to hurting somebody, though, it's I don't know, hurting somebody for a bad reason. It doesn't seem like there's a good way to do it because there's still a negative effect. Just it's very childish. This is a tantrum.
I'm a little bit empowered whenever Walt does harm to somebody who can conceivably deserve it, given how often he does harm incidentally to people who don't.
Yeah.
Is basically where I'm coming from.
I'm also my initial response on the first several watch throughs of this was like, fuck yeah, Ken gotta get it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is more just kind of like recently, I think maybe with the full series in in the rear view, kind of looking at everything. It's like, you didn't have to do this, man. You don't have to give him the power.
I mean, the other reason why it doesn't affect me too much is I consider this to be part of the season 1 cartoonish reality.
Yeah.
A little bit like the fucking Ken wins over is something that's revisited in Better Call Saul more subtly and responsibly. One, because of the difference between those shows, but also because it wasn't season 1 Breaking Bad, which is like weird and cartoony in some ways.
Yeah. This isn't like a fatal thing anyway. It's just more like my booyahs are tempered.
Yes. It does have a chilling effect upon the booyah. Yes. But yeah, it's a little comedy beat. It's meant to be a booyah and a comedy beat to go out on this kind of weird episode that vacillates entirely between, if Breaking Bad has comedy, tragedy, like, action and suspense and such, it's just comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
It's just super, super sad shit. And then pretty broad comedy.
It's also funny to take this entirely actionless episode that is just entirely these conversations and facial expressions. It's entirely at a human scale, and we're going to end this with an explosion. Like this, the whole episode has been this boil for Walt, and then here it's going to come.
Yeah. It's I still think this is probably the weakest episode of season 1.
Oh yeah.
It's not awful. It does stuff it needs to do, and there's some really good work in it because it's an excellent show. But it's
it's putting pieces in place.
If people like this show, they should go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and support the network.
They should. You get a whole bunch of stuff, even at the $5 level. We release something every day on the network, and a new piece of premium content. at least twice per week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not all video game stuff. We do a lot of video game stuff, but we have 2 whole shows other than this about other kinds of media. Unfilmable, about horror, or premium shows about other kinds of media. There's Unfilmable, which is about horror movies, and Adaptation Decay, which is about media that adapts video games, but not specifically about playing video games.
Yeah. And there's also like back catalog stuff. We did a whole show about the Venture Brothers. We did a whole show about D&D monster manuals. There's all kinds of stuff. Check out the backlogs. We try to make it evergreen, and we appreciate your support. If you cannot patronize us, that's okay. We understand, but you can leave us a rating review on Apple Podcasts or Podcast Addict. That really helps. You can tell your friends.
Yeah.
And what else can they do?
They can let us know if they've got a line on a new filter for a Hoover Pressure Pro Max Extract. There's a number in there, isn't there?
I think so.
Max Extract 360 something?
I don't know.
We'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, Casey.
Yeah.